It's that time of year again, time for a new Warframe expansion. I've been looking forward to this ever since TennoCon and it's finally here. Whispers in the Walls is Warframe's newest story expansion taking place after the new war in Heart of Deimos. This update starts Warframe's next cinematic quest arc. It follows the player assisting Lloyd, both Lloyds, in completing the Kalimos sequence, learning more about the man in the wall and the man behind it all, Albrecht Entrati. I was not surprised that the story was so great. It didn't suffer from being an alternate starting point like the Jabiri Paradox did. Yes, I know that feature got removed like a month after the fact, but it was still a problem at the time. It gets to focus on itself and lay the foundations for 1999 to pick up on next year, and all the characters introduced in this update are great. Fibonacci is a sort of pompous asshole, but the entertaining kind. Bird 3 and Tagfer are also great in their own right, with Tagfer's story being pretty tragic. My favorite part of the quest, however, was how this was entirely just a love ballad between Albrecht and Lloyd. These bitches gay, good for them. But anyway, it got to show us a side of Albrecht that we never expected to see, someone that cared so much about his lover to the point that he would retreat to the year 1999 in an attempt to drive Wally away from Lloyd. And the end conflict gets resolved when we encourage Lloyd to directly confront his fears of abandonment and listen to what Albrecht wrote for him. And this also reinforces the main motif throughout the game that the Tenno are all about compassion. Like Ballas said,
"It was that somehow, from within the derelict horror, they had learned a way to see inside an ugly, broken thing and take away its pain."
Throughout this update, it's made clear that Wally likes to weaponize everyone's pain, from Lloyd to Tagfer. It's not until the Tennos show up and are able to directly confront the Murmur that Lloyd can confront his fear of abandonment and remember that Albrecht did love him. It's pretty sweet, honestly. There is, however, one part of this whole thing that confuses me that a friend of mine on Discord brought up. Albrecht has a daughter, so is he actually bi? Did what was originally a master-apprentice relationship ascend into a romantic one while they were working on the Kalimos sequence? Is he just a massive player? Are we gonna get a God of War style sex minigame with Albrecht and Lloyd? Who really knows? I also want to talk about this now because it's not directly related to the gameplay. The music absolutely fucking slaps. Everyone that was responsible for crafting the music in this update, give them a raise, promote them, do whatever you need to do to let them know that we appreciate the music added in this update. As soon as I booted up the game for the first time and heard that login music, I knew I was in for a wild ride, and I absolutely was. Great job, guys. There are 3 new game modes introduced in Whispers in the Walls, which revolve around the new procedural tile set, Albrecht's Laboratories. The first, Alchemy, focuses on transmutation. You have to fill crucibles with elemental energy and then defend said crucibles and occasionally destroy pipes when they get too hot. The second, Netrocells, lets you focus on Albrecht Entrati's own Netrocells. You have to collect key glyphs to access these Netrocells, but these key glyphs give players debuffs when collecting them, similar to the Defixios from the Abyssal Zones. Those are the brand new modes. There's also a new Exterminate, Assassination, and Mirror Defense missions specific to Albrecht's Laboratories. There are a whole slew of other updates too, like the new Warframe Corvex. Starting with Netrocells, they're a pretty fun new game mode that adds a new level of difficulty. The difficulty is comparable to Archon hunts, but with double the level. I also like how you can complete 5 of them a week, so while not guaranteed, there's a chance you can get a total of 7 Archon shards, between that, the hunts, and the Break Normer missions. This is especially helpful because of that new Helminth Coalescence segment. But other than that, the extra difficulty, the debuffs from the key glyphs, all this combines into a game mode that's high risk, high reward. The biggest problem is that nobody realizes you have to kill the enemies in the circle. It won't count if you crowd them in some tight hallway. Alchemy is also pretty fun as an endless game mode, though I don't have much to say about it. It's kinda cool that you can use the amphors as a sort of grenade, especially since there's a shit ton of them that spawn. It's definitely not bad, it is pretty fun, but there's not much I can say about the mode itself since it's my least played. I'll definitely be playing quite a bit more of it so that I can get those new Tennokai mods. The new Fragmented One boss is also probably the best boss in the entire game. It doesn't rely on overly gimmicky bullshit like the Profit Taker. It isn't literally just a common enemy with the health bar like the Sergeant, and it doesn't take longer than it needs to like Vahak in the row below list. It's got a fair amount of difficulty to it. Using the Vitriums to outstare the Murmur is also pretty fun, and the Gargoyle's Cry event incentivizes us to play more of it so that we can farm Arcane Energize and crash the market even more. It's the closest thing the game has to a raid boss, and I love it. One other thing I want to compliment is the Albrecht's Laboratories tile set. This might be my new favorite in the entire game. It's just so good. There's this whole gilded feel to it, like the Oregon Tower, but there's also a mysterious aspect. There's a bunch of old MacBooks strewn across the rooms, and you can use some of the decorations like the vitriol cases as a sort of weapon by breaking them and damaging enemies. Overall, it's great. I've so far been enjoying Whispers in the Walls more than I did the Deviri Paradox. The story is a lot stronger, the new game modes are pretty fun, and it actually launched with a new Warframe. Plus, the quality of life updates we got with Whispers, while less than what we got in Abyss of Daggeth, were all around pretty cool as well. Because of this is actually the best time to be a new or returning player. Thanks for watching, everyone. Sorry this took longer than usual to come out. God of War Ragnarok Valhalla released the day before this update, and I was obsessed with it over the past few days. Speaking of, as I've stated multiple times, my next video essay will be on God of War Ragnarok. I'm heavily considering making this a two-parter since there's a lot I want to say about the story, and the main campaign is 30 hours long. After I get a PS5 and complete Spider-Man 2 and maybe Final Fantasy 16, I'll get to work on that. See you later.